Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Stormzy and Meghan Markle among most influential UK black people list. Depends on what you define as black. Maybe she had favourable lighting, unfavourable lighting in that photo, depending on how you view it. Obviously, she's mixed race anyway, and as far as I'm concerned, she has always been a negative for the royal family. It was a bad idea when it started, and it has continued to be so, considering that Harry has said that the increase in photographers has been the most traumatizing part of his life, considering it reminds him of his mother. Bear in mind that he did spend a few years in the army, as protected as he was, and didn't get a real experience of that because he was a royal. Sure, by all means, but it seems then more photographers are more dramatizing than an actual war. But yes, she has definitely brought out the worst parts of him, created great tension between himself and his brother William, of course, and she's been a net negative, to use one of academic agents' words, for the royal family, whereas of course Kate Middleton has taken to it like a duck to water, if you will, and she's been much more regal than Meghan Markle has. Then again, given Meghan Markle's history of being a divorcee and so on, and an actress, I suppose, you could hardly expect any better. Meanwhile, Stormzy, his main claim to fame here is, as you see here, wearing the Union Jack stab vest, which, as far as I'm concerned, is to highlight the increase in stabbing in the UK. However, of course, that does happen in a particular ethnic group within the United Kingdom, hence the whole debacle about saying, we're knife-free, when talking about KFC and other fried chicken, and in their boxes they have lives before knives, and a whole load of stories of people who have turned away from knives, and how that is apparently racist according to David Lammy. Then again, of course, everything is racist according to David Lammy. But nonetheless, Meghan Markle did not even reach the top 10, so she's basically just there as clickbait, and hey, it got me to click on the article, so I guess it works. So well done, BBC, and fuck off. So, Stormzy, Meghan Markle and Raheem Sterling have been named as some of the most powerful black people in the UK. If she's really in the UK. Okay, never mind. Let's ignore that. British Vogue editor Edward Enninful, model Adwoa Aboa and Reggie Yates also feature on the Powerlist 2020. We won't get started on whether this exists for white people, because of course it doesn't. That would just be racist to try and say, what about the most powerful white people? We can of course include white people if they're Jewish, for example. That would be fine, because we would hate to be called anti-Semitic. Blackpilled released a video very recently, as in I think it was today, about the Rothschilds and the movie, to try and immortalise them and put them in a more favourable light, but he explains how it is quite unfulfilling in its main motive, so I'd highly recommend checking that out if you're interested in learning more. I'm not trying to perpetuate anti-Semitic stereotypes myself, but hey, if individuals should be criticised, then I'm all for that. If somebody does something well, then well done, and if they do something poorly, then that should definitely be pointed out. And so Rothschild is, of course, an example that falls into that category. So do check it out if you're interested in the like. And no, we're not going to go into Holocaust conspiracies, don't worry. And I don't want to make this a long video on ragging on Meghan Markle, as tempting as that is, and I'm sure there'll be one in the works soon enough. And if you look through my back catalogue, then you realise that I have already slated her quite a lot already, considering that she doesn't seem to have a leg to stand on, and is just, I would say, an archetypal manipulator in how she's using her position to, of course, get to Harry in the first place, and then use her position with him in order to perpetuate further false statements about sexism, racism, and the climate. But nonetheless, as I say, let's not make this about her. The main thrust of this is that you would never expect this, of course, of another ethnicity, hence all the more reason why it gives credence to the thought that, well, the BBC is basically just anti-white at this point. And yes, of course, I think there's a problem with that. I'm not going to say that it's bad to be black, I don't think so, but I do also think that it's okay to be white. It's fine to be any ethnicity whatsoever. And so if you're trying to perpetuate an idea of, hey, we got to point at these people, then I must ask you, why? Why do you think you need to segregate the blacks? Why is that the case? Personally, I would say, well, if you're going for most influential people, then go for most influential people. And I don't care about race. Just pick people who have been most influential, pick it be meritocratic, pick it on the criteria of what you're going for, and don't segregate based on race, because, hey, I'm not for racism, and the BBC, although it says that it isn't, obviously it is, because it seems to go with the soft bigotry of low expectations, to say, hey, these black people, we can't really expect them to be noticeable if the playing fields are fair, so therefore we have to create this own special tournament just for them, because, hey, that black people can't be expected to compete with white people. They're far too inferior, which I think is disgustingly racist. But, hey, each to their own, and all the more reason to not pay the licence fee, and why I don't own a television, because I disagree with the BBC entirely. So yes, by all means, run your own company into the ground, try and expand your licence fee into old age pensioners and over 65s, over 75s, and over 85s. Why not? Just keep going. Just apply it to everybody, because you're going to be needing all the money you can get as you slowly fall into disrepute and, of course, lose all your viewership. And I think that's very rightfully earned. You have rightfully earned your place, losing ground slowly but steadily, and in the end we will indeed, of course, revoke the licence fee, because the BBC will just fall out of touch far too much and will no longer be relevant, in which case nobody will be watching it, it will not be profitable, and the BBC will fall unless it wishes to reclaim itself and is actually more of a voice for the people, as it was intended to be so. Nonetheless, that's the BBC. So, as I don't want to make this video too long, let's just read on. And here's another member of the Powerlist 2020, and this is for a reason that personally I find abhorrent, but I'm intrigued to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below. He said, it's a real privilege and honour to win this award, and this is Ismail Ahmed, who set up his firm in 2010 using compensation from the United Nations for exposing alleged corruption. It is designed, and here we go, to help migrants send money back to their friends and families. Yes, so hey, come over to our country, we'll give you opportunities, we might even just give you free money, whatever the case may be. So here you are, we're doing it in order to help you out. So in return, please do help us out. We kind of need to stimulate our economy. We're hoping to keep this money in here and become more wealthy. So if you can abide by that, that'd be great. So what's he done? He said, how about no? How about we steal your money? We take your money, whatever means necessary, because why not? Why don't we just take all the money that we can and just take it away from your country? Just lose it. Send it back to the countries that it came from. And hey, why would we care about your country? If we can bring other people here to gain benefits, then let's do that. And if we can't, then let's just remove all the money that we can from your economy. Let's devalue your currency in the poorest. Okay, different arguments entirely. But why don't we just try and destroy your economy and ruin your country in order to better the one that we came from, the one which we admit is terrible, which is why we're emigrating away from it. And then we will build that up while trying to destroy your country, because that is what it does. It's the same thing as if you go to a village, you'd get everyone bankrupt, you try and take everybody's money, lending whatever it might be, and then saying, cool, now I have all your money, I'm going to leave and I'm going to take all your money with me. Good luck, because now you're all in debt. Or taking raw resources, if you will, as a primary source of economy, so the raw materials. Just take all of those, like China does in Africa, in Djibouti is the main one, and then just leave. It is abhorrent when they do it, when China does it to Africa, and it's abhorrent when Africa does it to the UK. But nonetheless, he's a winner. Yes. So he says, when I came to London to study and started to send money back home, I was frustrated by the inconvenience and cost of transferring money through traditional agents. Well, maybe you should take that as a hint and say that, yeah, we don't want you doing that. That is just degrading our country that has taken you in. If you are a refugee, for example, then hey, we're doing you a favour by helping you flee the land that you've come from. And if you're a migrant, then surely you've come here to get a better life for yourself. And you want to assimilate into the culture because you realise it is better than the one you came from. But instead of that, he's thinking no, because he then made it his mission to find a better way to make that process as efficient as possible. Yes, he wants to be able to take as much money from the UK as possible and send it to other countries. I understand tourism is a similar process where countries would try and make themselves likeable to others in order to say, yeah, well, why don't you earn your money over there and then spend it over here? And of course then they're competing against all the other countries in order to make them seem the most appealable, to have the most driving force in order to attract people. But in this regard, no, it isn't that at all. It's just, hey, why don't you pick a country where you can get the most money for the least amount of work and then send it back to where you came from, the place that you wanted to avoid because it wasn't good enough as the country you were going to. So a panel chaired by retired High Court Judge Dame Linda Dobbs, let's not get started on that, selected the Powerlist 2020, which is in its 13th year. It is designed to celebrate those at the top of a wide range of industries, including business, science, technology and entertainment. Only the top 10 names are ranked. Meghan Markle was named in the public third, non-profit sector and education group, but is not listed in the top 10. Clickbait title, fake news. Powerlist 2020 top 10 are the following. Ismail Ahmed being number 1. You can read through them if you're intrigued, and that is the end of the article. And yes, of course, they do mention Stormzy as number 5 as grime artist, someone who glorifies the ghetto, gang violence, if you will, and wishes to perpetuate the stereotype which he is apparently trying to dismantle. So let's see how effective he really is in that. And I understand that art is a reflection of self, but it's not to be taken seriously, and it's a bit of a conundrum, almost paradoxical when it comes to that, of how much you're supposed to read into it. But nonetheless, obviously this culture isn't doing much good for people who are consumed by it or wish to consume it, if you will, and are therefore influenced by it, because particularly if you don't have a sense of belonging or a sense of meaning, then you will cling on to whatever you can get. And if this art is a way of escapism, therefore you will cling to this and you will reenact what you hear your heroes doing, whether that's movies, TVs, games, music, if you will. I do understand that. However, of course, on the flip side, they were saying, well, it's actually just cathartic. You do these things so that you don't actually do it in real life, and it just makes you feel better. And as long as you can separate fact from fiction, then there's no problem whatsoever. And the studies that I have seen personally suggest that there is no correlation between violence and violent video games, and in fact it is the opposite, that the increase in the violent video games has decreased actual violence. So be it. As long as you don't have a culture that glorifies it, then it's fine. If it's a sense of escapism and it's your way of dealing with it, that's fine. But if you have cultures that are saying, well, yes, you should do it more, then obviously that is a problem. But let's just wrap up, as we've gone through 3 main topics. One is Meghan Markle is just a net negative, and she's ruining the royal family and driving a great divide in the United Kingdom. She was not welcome here, as far as I'm concerned, and unless she cleans up her act, will never be. Stormzy, who is doing a similar thing and glorifying violence and encouraging people to do the same. And Ismail Ahmed, who is trying to destroy the UK economy by encouraging people to take money from it in order to send back to the country they wish to move from. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Am I wrong? Is there something great that I've missed out here? Or is it just that, hey, you know, the BBC hates the United Kingdom, they hate everything that it stands for, they feel so ashamed for everything that it's done, they have tremendous amounts of white guilt, and therefore they will try to empower anybody who tries to ruin it for what it's done in the past and what it stands for today, because, of course, the BBC is pro-Europe as well, just anything that can shrink down the United Kingdom. I'm always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you for the continued support, I am greatly appreciative of it, and I will see you next time. Enjoy your weekend, and peace.